Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Genesis of Clearwater, also known as Fitzgerald Genesis, and look what we have. This is the totally redesigned Genesis G80. This particular one is the Advanced trim, but before we get into this luxury midsize sedan, let's talk about what's going on here. Genesis. It's a brand that, believe it or not, has not been around for that long. It's been since 2015, but guess what? This particular G80 can actually trace its heritage back to 2008. That's when the Hyundai Genesis was created. Now that Genesis sedan in Hyundai's lineup was all about bringing luxury. Hyundai decided to take a page right from the playbook of a lot of other very big brands and create their own premium brand. So in 2015, Genesis no longer was a car, it became a car brand. Now with this G80, what they're doing for 2021 is they're taking some new, really strong, bold styling, and they've also introduced their all-new SUV, the GV80. Now if you haven't seen the GV80, or if you have not seen my other review of the G80 sedan, you definitely want to check those out, and I'll leave the links at the end of this video. Now, like we always like to do on Rady's Rides, I like to bring all the different trims. We did the twin turbo V6. This Advanced trim has the smaller displacement engine, but we'll get to that in a few moments. What I want to find out is, should you avoid and just drive past Mercedes locations, Audi, BMW, Acura, Lexus, Infiniti, and come to a Genesis dealership if you're looking for, like I said, some new bold styling, tons of technology, and really a value that's second to none. So let's go ahead, let's find out, is this the best value in the mid-size luxury sedan segment of the auto industry? Let's go find out. Right off the bat, the styling, it hits you like a punch right from Mike Tyson in the face. But it feels good, which is weird, because normally if you got hit in the face, that would hurt. When it comes to the styling though, I like what they did. They went really unique, very bold. They kind of took some elements from some other brands, maybe like Bentley you could see here, but you're gonna get full LED headlights, daytime running lamps, and you can see you have the LED turn signals. We have the hazards flashing for you so you can see those in action. I love the way the front fascia kind of extends out a little bit, and then the way they did the grille work, very smart. You have a little bit of a concave going on in these lower corners. That is a functional side air curtain, so nothing to zonk. Super clean, not large either. Chrome horizontal bar just to give it a little bit extra style. Look at the way they kind of took the front fascia and dropped it down. Really gives a lot of depth and element of design, and you can see how they really thought everything through. Now this is a gunmetal gray flat paint on the grille, and I'm glad they didn't use gloss black. I think that would have been too shiny. Now as we come across the rest of the front fascia, you might be saying to yourself, well Joe, is there really a front fascia, because all I see is grille? And I would say you're right. This is probably one of the largest grills on any sedan, and that seems to be the direction that many auto manufacturers are going in. But you know what? It just seems to work. I've kind of sat here, I ate a couple Twinkies, sitting in a lawn chair, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm actually digging it on the front end of this Genesis G80, even on the new GV80, the SUV. It's got a nice curve to it, functional up top. I love the way they did the chrome crisscross pattern, and then the solid chrome around the perimeter, and the way they bring the design element. I'm going to point out this design element as we go around the vehicle, but you can see how everything comes to a nice point here, especially on the bottom section, and then it flares back out. Now, they brought a little bit of chrome into the lower lip area, and I think that just, like I said, gives it that extra depth of design. Now, when we get up onto the hood, look how seamless. It just fits perfectly with the top portion of the grille. You have that Genesis badge. Like I said, it's been around since 2015. New kid on the block, but boy, oh boy, are they making some waves into the pool as they do a big cannonball in that luxury sedan and SUV segment of the pool. Now, body lines come right off of that badge, go right towards the windshield, which is great. And as we come around the bend, this pearlescent white, it sparkles like a white diamond. When it comes to wheel and tire setup, you do have two options. Now this is going to be your standard wheel. It's a 19-inch wheel, has almost like a hand-brushed aluminum finish to it. Kind of has that crisscross pattern taken from the grille, brought onto the wheel. You have your Genesis badging, looking classy on that center cap there, but this is a 19-inch wheel, 245 on the width, 45 series sidewall, wrapped in Michelin tires. The reason why I point that out, Michelin's, is guess what? That's a great brand. Genesis is using top quality materials, not only on the outside, the inside, but where the rubber literally meets the road. Now, in the fender, I love the stepped action that they have. You can see how you go down the steps. Gives it lots of class, almost like a flared fender look. Very bold, very strong. You have on the sides, this is a new design element. If you look at the Genesis GV80, which is their SUV, I love the way they just brought some chrome trim. It doesn't look like a vent. It's not a fake vent. It's just beautiful trim with those LED lights for your side marker lights. And I'm telling you right now, this is such an identifier. No other vehicle has something like this. So you could be sitting on the moon, eating a couple moon pies, drinking some moon milk, and you would know that this is a Genesis, even from that distance. As you can hear, we have some Radies Rides fans here that are honking their horns. What's going on, guys? Good to see you. But as we go down the side, you have the pearlescent white on the mirror caps. The chrome trim that runs along the bottom is just wide enough to not look too gaudy. A little bit of chrome trim on the top of the door handles, which is wonderful. And then of course you're gonna have nice, shiny, bright metal work around the bottom and the top of the side windows. Now, one of the things I wanna point out is you're gonna get, of course, that panoramic style sunroof, but look what they did at Genesis. They listened to Radies Rides. They blacked out the whole roof. Doesn't that look great? We've been to other brands that cost way much more than this one, and they'll have it painted and it just doesn't look right. I love the way that looks. Nice size on that quarter window. The way it comes in the rear pillar, you have that stepped section going on. Remember, this is a rear wheel drive midsize sedan. You can get all wheel drive, but this is rear wheel drive standard. And then when you come to the tail in the business, same exact story as where we started at the front. You're gonna have a nice kick up on the trunk, super seamless, super clean. Let me show you some of the design elements. So like the headlights, you're gonna have these beautiful LED taillights. We got the hazard still on for you, the G80 badge. The chrome trim looks very classy. You see this button here? Obviously you would take this off. I guess you could drive around if you want to let everybody know how to open up your trunk, but they actually took this design, that's the grill. That's actually the front grill design with your backup camera and the button to pop the trunk. Classy badging on the Genesis logo there. And then as you work your way down, same story on the tailpipe. So these are decorative trim rings, but there is an actual exhaust pipe behind there, not like some other brands where they're just putting fake exhaust. But you can see the overall shape is to mimic the grill. You have your backup reverse lights mounted nice and low, LED of course. The one thing I'm gonna zonk is this pattern on the gloss black here. I wish they wouldn't have put that there. I wish they would have just went smooth, but I do like this nice little extension, but definitely really has a nice wide stance from the back. But why don't we pop the hood and see what's powering our G80. All right guys, we got the hood popped. You do have two hydraulic hood struts. You can see how they have the bracing up front to stiffen up the front end. Underneath the hood, like I had mentioned, we have the smaller displacement. Now the engine color cover is tasteful. I'm glad that they kept it simple without making it look like a trash can lid, but you're looking at the 2.5 liter inline four turbocharged engine. It's 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60, believe it or not, in around 5.7 seconds. Quarter mile is gonna go by in 14 seconds flat at 100 miles an hour. It is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The vehicle weighs around 4,043 pounds, and you're looking at MPGs, 23 in the city, 32 on the highway. The great news is, if this is not enough power for you, you can go up the trim levels and you can go with a twin turbo V6, which we did feature on Radies Rides. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to that interior and see what big things are in store on the luxury side of things in this G80. All right guys, we're inside the 2021 Genesis G80. I know you're saying, well Joe, I am really digging what Genesis is doing here. I don't need a name. I don't need Mercedes-Benz in my driveway to make me feel good. I feel good all on my own. I've worked on myself. And my word that I'm saying to you is congratulations, that's hard work there. But you're probably saying, how much is this mid-size sedan known as the G80? Well, the way that this one is optioned, and like I said, it does have the smaller displacement engine, but it does have some other options in here. You're looking at MSRP right around $53,000. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. Now, I love what they've done with the style. You have soft touch material up top. You see that wood there? Think about Paul Bunyan chopping down a tree, because that's open pore wood. Absolutely beautiful. I could still smell the woodsy scents coming from it. A little bit of silver, and then look at the rest of the door panel there. Absolute Art Deco style. as it goes from the armrest, which is soft, and then flares out. If you'll notice that massive bright aluminum speaker cover, this one has the Lexicon 21 speaker system. It's going to give you a real pure, clear sound. And then the door pocket, it's on the smaller side. You're probably going to want to keep your Subway sandwich to about 6 inches, or you're going to squirt mustard everywhere. And you could put a bottle of water to wash it all down. Now, when you get to the dash, same wonderful material. The stitch work is just exquisite. There's that open pore wood. Paul Bunyan doing the job. I love the silver, how it goes from one AC vent to the other AC vent, all the way to the gauge instrumentation. And then there's the biggest talk of the town. There's no way you could avoid that. 14.5 inches of visual pleasure, navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. My zonk is, though, no wireless Apple CarPlay, no wireless Android Auto. On a 2021 vehicle that's redesigned, it should have that. But the great news is touch screen, so you could go to your map real easy. Look how it takes up the whole screen size. I love the height of it. It's not in the way. It looks classy. It looks integrated. It looks wonderful. And you get your touch screen features, which is exactly what you want. Now, when you go into your different controls, you have your bright silver. Everything is right here. Looking good. Look at that open pore wood. The way they even integrate the hazard button and your start stop button. Those are the touches. But let me throw it into reverse real quick to show you what kind of backup cameras we're working with here. So there is your backup camera. You do have trajectory. It's very clear. You got that sensory protection all the way around, and you have your navigation set up, which is really, really nice. I go back to home. Oh, actually, I got to put it back in the park. Duh. Joe, you're not thinking. Go back to home, and then check it out. Now we could go into our different features that we have. You could go into your seat adjustments, get everything set up absolutely perfect for your body as you go on that trip. One of the things I always like to point out is the sounds of nature. If you had a bad day at work, if you have, somebody maybe just giving you a hard time, your next door neighbor's just busting your chops all the time, get into your Genesis G80, turn on the lively force, rub the wood, and that will make you feel good. Whenever you rub your wood, it makes you feel good, especially with the live forest sound, and that is really what's magical about that. But you can control the volume. All the switch gear feels really, really good. And there's it at. It's real super fast reacting. You go right back to navigation. Now, as we drop down, check it out. Full TFT digital display. You got ventilated seats, heated seats. Of course, you got a heated steering wheel, dual climate. Love all the controls. Feels really good. And then look what we have. More wood. Open up door number 1, open sesame. You have 2 USBs, no wireless charging in there. So that is going to be a zonk at $53,000. Yes, you could get it on the higher trims. Wood's looking great. We open up that guy. You got your 2 cup holders. I like the way they bring a little bit of silver in there just to make it classy. Then you're going to have some silver on the buttons. You got your drive mode selector button, which is nice. And then this is your rotary knob to go into your different gears of that 8-speed automatic. Drive, neutral, reverse, and park. Real simple to figure out. You also have, if you don't want to use the touchscreen, you have this directory drive control knob. It has a wonderful feeling to it. Look at that. Almost looks like a piece of artwork like you would hang on the wall. Even the volume controls, everything feels high class in here with the wood all the way around. Key fob, there she is. Genesis badge, nice weight, nothing too big. You got remote start, which is nice. You can option the ability to do the park assist. This one doesn't have it, but just want to point that out for you. Semi-soft on the armrest, but you hit the Bombay door button, and guess what? We have some felt lining, so you can put your iPhone 46, a 12 volt in here to keep your iPhone nice and warm. Close that up, and then the seats. Wonderful leather, perforated, the stitch work, the great bolstering looks wonderful. Nice amount of real estate for your body parts, and then of course you're going to get full electric assist for the passenger and the driver. And then to top it off, like I pointed out, look at this. It's like going to the movie theater. You have your panoramic sunroof up there. You can sit in here, eat a nice Twinkie, because you got some Twinkie storage in here. If you don't want to put your iPhone 672, you can put your Twinkies in there. I got a frameless auto dimming mirror, which is classy. But why don't you come over to the business end, because I want to show you behind the wheel of this Genesis G80. All right, guys, business time. Behind the wheel of the Genesis G80. Really like the nice little tasteful aluminum sill panel. I know many people would say, well, Joe, my Mercedes-Benz has LED lighting there. Okay, I guess technically you could zonk it, but they did have to keep it at a certain price point. Seat controls, though, are spot on the money, easy to get to, easy to use, very, very comfortable. The seats are some of the best in the business, really. Steering wheel, I'm actually digging it. I like the way it's a nice dark leather. The stitch work is super clean. A little bit of silver. Normally, I'm not into this like horizontal spoke steering wheel, but it's working in this Genesis, especially with the way that the badge is here. You got paddles, which are a good size, believe it or not, on the back of the wheel to go up and down that 8-speed automatic. Look at the way they do the beautiful work on the stocks for the turn signal and the windshield wiper. And then dash, you got a little bit of a mixed bag in this particular Genesis G80. You can go full digital, but we have an analog speedometer, analog fuel gauge. You have a large digital display in the center that you can go through a ton of different information. And then you have a digital tachometer, which is interesting. So not totally analog, not totally digital. So you are getting a nice combo. Let me show you the different drive modes though. Sport, Eco, Custom, and Comfort. You know where we're going to be leaving it. Yes, right in Sport. So easy to use, easy to get to. I got plenty of headroom in here. I'm 6 feet tall. It feels really, really good. I feel confident that I could easily put 4 Snickers in that front compartment up there, so I'm not going to get hangry. But why don't we get to the back seat and see how your passengers are going to enjoy this G80. All right, guys, back seat time. And you know what? This is where you know you're in a midsize and not anything smaller. What's great is if this is not enough room for you, you could go Genesis G90, and that gives you that full-size sedan interior space that's just going to be able to wow your passengers. Now, backs of the seats, love the material. You do get these nice pockets. They're a little tight, though. I would not put a banana. I wouldn't put a Twinkie in there because you're going to just make a banana split. But what you could do is put a couple magazines, maybe some Popular Mechanics, some Popular Science, or maybe the Book of Genesis, and just keep that in the back in your Genesis G80. Kind of makes sense. You have your rear AC. I do like the way they mimicked exactly what was going on up front to the back. You have your AC controls, easy to get to. And then, like I said, when it comes to room, it feels good back here. It really does. Even the way they shape the headrest, if you notice, it really fits perfect with the back of my cranium. So my skull is feeling really good when I do this. And then if you're wondering, well, Joe, is there an armrest? You better believe there's an armrest. Get ready for this. So it makes that noise when you lower it. But the good news is once it's lowered, I do like the stitch work. Actually, a little softer than the armrest for the passenger and the driver up front. Open that up, you got your 2 cup holders, which is nice. And then guess what? If somebody's peeping and creeping on you, you hit that button, you do have a power sliding rear glass shade, which is wonderful. So there it is up, there it is down. And then of course, you have the manual side shades, which would clip in. And if you want to see the sun, you just leave it down. And then to put this back, you just lift it up. Boop, 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 boop. The seats don't fold down to get into the trunk, but you do have a nice little open area to get that trunk access when the armrest is down. I guess the bad news is if you have somebody sitting in the middle, you're not getting access to the trunk to get to those special snacks. But why don't we get to that trunk and see how much room you have in there in your Genesis G80. All right, guys, time to get into the trunk, see what kind of luxurious junk you could put in the trunk of this G80. You're gonna hit that button, nice electric assist, wide opening. You're looking around 13 cubic feet of space. The good news is that you have a lower loading floor, which is nice to kind of get some taller objects in here. But you know what? If you don't need a ton of room, this is going to be such a better driving experience than an SUV because of that lower center of gravity. Plus, you got rear-wheel drive. But speaking of driving, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's take this Genesis G80 for a spin. All right, guys, we're in the Genesis G80. This one with that 2.5 liter inline-4 turbocharged engine. I want to do an on-throttle acceleration from a dead stop. On throttle, here we go. So, as you can see, not too shabby. I think right on the money for that 0 to 60, about 5.7 seconds. I do have it in sport mode
that allows you to hold that gear, keep higher in the rev range, so if you need to get back on throttle, it's gonna be an easier transition and the transmission does not need to drop down any. Automatically, being in this G80 for the second time, I love the layout of the interior. They just really hit the nail on the head, and I'm gonna turn off that pesky auto start stop feature, but that 14.5-inch screen is absolutely stunning. Easy to get to. You could use the direct drive control knob if you want to go through your different features. I could get over to that one area that I absolutely love, which is gonna be the sounds of nature. All right, guys, driving in this new Genesis G80, you're gonna automatically be aware of the thicker glass, the extra sound deadening material. Super quiet in here, super smooth. The 8-speed really shifts just so elegantly from one gear to the other, to where you're feeling like you're in a vehicle that costs twice as much. Now, the great news, what I'm absolutely ecstatic about, is that even with going the smaller engine, you're gonna have some really good acceleration. And that is something that in some brands, when you go with the smaller engine, it's just a dog. But this really has some get up and go. Let me go ahead and go back on throttle, drops down, and we're off. Steering is a little on the light side. I wish that it had a little bit more feedback, but you know what? The thickness is perfect. The paddles are a good size if you want to shift manually, and getting to that infotainment system is real easy, especially if you don't want to touch it. If you don't want to touch it, using the buttons and the switch gear actually really makes sense. And it's very intuitive after you use it a couple times. So using that rotary knob, you select whatever you want, you push down, and there we are with our map for our navigation. Perfect height for that infotainment system screen. I like the 14.5-inch, and I'm so glad that it fills up the whole entire screen, which is nice. You got that anti-collision warning going off. It seemed to come on a little early, to be honest with you. We really, first of all, not going that fast. Second of all, we weren't that close to that SUV. So that's one thing I'm noticing, is that some of these safety features, which it has all the safety features you can imagine, they're just a little overactive. They're like that helicopter parent that's just watching every move a little too much. But I love the panoramic sunroof, visibility out the back. Perfect. It really is for a midsize sedan with those style of headrests. But everywhere you look, everywhere you feel, like I said, you could rub your wood, feels good. All the materials and the seats are perfect. Yes, they don't have massaging seats in here, but you know what? I still think you're gonna feel cool as a cucumber on those longer trips. Would I prefer the V6 twin turbo? Of course. I would have to be lying to you, but you know what? To come in at around $53,000, this 4-cylinder really behaves super well. Doesn't sound too noisy like some 4-cylinders do, and you're just gonna help keep that price point a little bit more in check for you. I do like in the center though, that digital display that spills off from the tachometer, the digital tachometer. There is a ton of information that you could bring up from all different gauges, instrumentation. It really is a nice system to where there's a ton of variety there. Shows your attention level, your range. You can bring in the engine temperature, super clear. The one thing that's weird, that's gonna take you some time to get used to, it's got a counterclockwise tachometer. So the tachometer actually goes this way instead of the more traditional setup, which, like I said, at first it just seems a little awkward, but you'll get used to it, and that'll allow you to use the paddles a little bit more efficiently and effectively once you get used to that tachometer flipping the other direction. But boy, oh boy, super smooth. All of the touches, such a high level of quality. It's really just a serene experience in here. Another thing I want to point out is the suspension. Even in sport mode, this doesn't have adaptive suspension, but the way that they did the compression and the rebound really gives you a nice ride without feeling too soft. And having that rear-wheel drive setup, it's really nice, especially when you're going through a twisty ribbon of road. It just gives you, I don't know, a better overall feel and experience as you're navigating down that particular road. But let's go ahead, back on throttle. Here we go. Really impressed. I'm telling you, 300 horsepower in this sedan. You're definitely not lacking. I'm gonna go ahead and change the mode. We go into comfort and you can see how the revs just drop, and that's where throttle sensitivity is a little less. Overall shifts are not so firm as compared to when you are in sport mode, but very impressed with what they have packed into this advanced trim. And like I said, with that inline-4 turbocharged engine, you're getting a really good dose of power. But we're gonna go ahead, hopefully this gave you a nice overall feel of what the Genesis G80 is all about with the 4-cylinder turbo. We're gonna get back to Fitzgerald Genesis and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second.
All right, guys, been another great day here at Fitzgerald Genesis. I definitely got to thank Rob and the rest of the crew getting us access to this 2021 redesigned Genesis G80. It just goes to show that, you know what, if you are looking for that value, but you're not willing to settle on the look, the style, the feel, the fit, and the finish, Genesis is doing some amazing things. And by having many different trim levels, it really allows you to pick what price point you want to get into when it comes to these luxury mid-size sedans. But if you want to keep seeing these redesigns that are fresh, that are new, here on Rady's Rise, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rise family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you in the channel, click the link in the description, get yourself some Rady's Rise merch. Got to give it up to the queen of the camera. She's holding the fort down. She's working that camera like a champ. Show her some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.